So my previous video was actually a plea for help, and I'm happy to report that I definitely got the help I needed. I had 3 different friends who said that they thought that the mangled keyway on my jointer motor shaft could be welded and the keyway reground. My friend Simon offered to take a stab at welding the mangled keyway. He picked up the motor, welded a patch, ground the shaft back to round, and delivered the motor all on the same day. He even managed to capture some videos of making the repair for me, which I'll share here. Pretty good service, to say the least. He ground down the damaged area to help the weld bond to the existing shaft, then filled it in with a weld bead. Now, Simon's been working on his welding skills as part of what I can only describe as an extremely ambitious project. For the last few years, he and his family have been building an earth-sheltered home, and he's been recording the entire process on YouTube. I guess this repair job was actually returning a favor, since about 4 years ago my whole family pitched in for an afternoon to help raise the Quonset hut that became the garage and workshop. I'll include a link to that video in the cards above, as well as links to one of his more recent videos, where he gives you a tour of the project. You should definitely watch some of his videos. Every time I do, I'm simply blown away, not only by Simon's ambition, but by the work ethic of his entire family. It's remarkable. So as you can see, after filling in the worn area with a weld bead, Simon ground down the weld surface to be consistent with the shaft, running the motor while doing the grinding to be sure he didn't grind it out of round. After sending me an initial picture, we decided that he should add a bit more material to fill in the keyway, and then he ground down that bit as well. With the weld repair done and the motor now back in my basement, I turned my attention to grinding out the keyway. I found a video on YouTube that gave me an idea how to tackle this. I bought a small air-powered die grinder and some 2-inch discs for grinding out the keyway. With a scrap of metal clamped to the shaft as a guide, I first ground down one side of the keyway and then the other. It really only took a few minutes' work, and I was left with what looked to me to be a reasonably serviceable keyway. The pulley fit a bit loosely, but with the keyway in place and the set screws tightened, it looked to me like it should work okay. So I set about getting the motor installed back into the jointer. I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of the way they've mounted this motor in the Shopfox jointer, but after a fair bit of trial and error, I finally got it adjusted so that the belt ran true. I then reconnected the wires to the junction box and gave it a try. There's a bit of wobble in the drive pulley due to a combination of grinding down of the shaft and wear on the pulley itself, but it seems to work well enough. I then replaced the rear cover, put the jointer back in its usual spot, and gave it a working test run. It's good to have the jointer back in action. So thanks again to Simon for his help, and instead of my usual closing plea to like and subscribe to my channel, this time I'll encourage you to go check out Simon's Home in the Earth channel. It really is an incredible project. As always, thanks for watching.